government is currently doing the right thing financially on behalf of the taxpayer? Why or why not?
I believe for the situation that we're in, they are doing the best job that they can. As Martin stated earlier, the state has mandated us to refurbish our jails because they were not up to code. They're mandating us to put more staff in there, more medical. And like he said, they only do a portion of that. And that portion is 30%. The county comes up with the other 70%. That is a huge burden on taxpayers because the legislator puts it down on us. For what they have and the hand that they're dealt, I believe they're doing the best job that they can.
Do you believe the county government is currently doing the right thing financially on behalf of the taxpayer? Why or why not?
I believe they are too. They're doing the best they can. It's like everybody else has said, the state is so much control. The only way we can do better, I think, is to have growth in the county. And I was told here a while back, there's more people dying in Eastland County than there is people moving into Eastland County. We're losing lots of tax dollars, but we need somehow or another to gain more.
Mr. Gentry.
I believe Eastland County is doing everything they can, the Commissioner's Court, with what they've got to work with and the things that have been coming down from the state. The last 4 years I've worked close with the state, trying to understand what they're doing, where they're going, why they're putting us through this. I've gained relationships in Austin, and at some point I feel we're going to have to fight back. We're going to have to say no, enough's enough. We're going to have county sovereignty just like we need state sovereignty. If they're going to come in and offer us money for this and that, and it turns out to be not a good deal for us, then we're going to have to, be able to stand on our own and stay away from it. I believe if we run our own county, stay as far away from the state handout and the state funding, I think we'll be better off in the long run. Thank you.
As far as the commissioners they're doing the best they can with what they've got to do with. Like everybody says, the biggest part of the problem is the state legislature makes mandatory stuff for us, the county, to do. They do not try to reimburse us for anything. They make, the jail out here, they got different the medical, so one of the inmates needs to go to the doctor, the county has to foot the bill. If the inmate don't have any money to pay for it, then they might get a little bit out of their commissary account, which don't amount to nothing but maybe 10% of what the bill was and everything. And like the medical, that is one of the biggest problems with the jail today is the medical issues that we have to take the inmates and get all their medicals taken care of, and we have to pay for it. There's another one that come down, and we're not really sure what is going to happen to it in jails, Satan, that they're looking at putting a psychologist into the jail for each county jail to check on the inmates, their mental capacity and everything else. They hadn't really figured out how or what they're going to do on that yet. In other words, it's still up in the air. But that's just one or two mandates, and they're not paying for any of the mandates that they're telling us that we have to do at the jails. So really, everybody's doing the best they can right at the moment with what we do without the help of the state and everything.
Thank you. Okay, next question. Mr. Marks will be the first responder. What are your views on the current levels of county debt?
Current views on the county debt.
Yes.
Well, Well, I don't agree with it. I don't like it, and I don't think anybody else likes it. It's something that we're having to deal with due to the budget deficits that we're going through, due to the more mandates that the state is putting on us for more money that the county is having to front. And in turn, that is hurting the taxpayers. It is digging into your pockets more. It's digging into my pockets more. I don't like it, but I'm the last person that wants my taxes raised. But I know for a fact these blue jeans I'm wearing did not cost the same back in 1980 as they do today. If we don't evolve, we're going to dissolve. It's going to happen. We have to get a hold of it, and we have to do what we can to help.
What's the question?
Yes, sir. Says, what are your views on the current levels of county debt?
Y'all really don't know. I don't know how we can solve the problem. The county's just getting by, just with what they have. I don't think there's any money being spent that don't need to be spent. I really don't know how we can fix it though.
Sometimes I don't know is the correct answer. Mr. Gentry?
My views on the county debt, it's serious. You know, we're plagued with a debt that, as I said a while ago, we've got people dying off, nobody coming in, we're not building homes, we're not creating the new infrastructure that makes us going into for the next generations. And you know, we've got to get a hold of this. We've got to be able to reduce our debt, take our debt away. At the same time, we've got to put something back for tomorrow. So we've got to get out and promote Eastland County. You know, when you get in there and you get to digging and you get to looking at who's helping promote, this is part of the reason I feel that we are where we are. And we've got to come forth, we've got to stand, we've got to have ideas from people all over and bring business in here to get this debt behind us. And we can do it. But with debt, anytime, if it's a family or whatever it is, debt makes you struggle. We've got to get out of debt with less struggle.
Well, the best way to do this, we're going to have growth in the county where we have better business, more businesses come in for manufacturing. We're going to have to work at getting places come in to bring business. And the first thing we'll have to do is once we get the business, then we'll be able to create jobs to keep our younger people here. That's the first thing we need to do is start trying to create jobs to keep young people here and not let them move off to Dallas-Fort Worth or Houston or Austin or whatever, to keep our kids and everything else around here to be able to make a living. And, you know, most times they move off to go to college, then they get a job everywhere else, you know, that they have to stay away from here and there's not any jobs where they can make a living. You know, and that's the main thing, is getting jobs so that we can make a living and keep our younger youth here in Eastland County to be able to come back and buy stuff and help us them build homes and everything, you know.
Okay. That was
Number 4.
Yeah. What are your views on the current levels of county debt?
Well, I believe the county debt is, of the magnitude that we have right now, is going to be hard to turn around. I kind of look at it like a ship that's coming in. You know how long that ship has to turn and turn and turn until it finally gets back to where it was. That's kind of the way this debt is. It's just a big, odious thing that's sitting out there, and it's going to take time. It's going to take a lot of work, a lot of people working together to do it. It's not going to go away. It didn't happen overnight, and it's not going to go away. So everybody that's involved, all the departments, the courthouse, the commissioner's court, everyone, we really need to put forth a lot of effort to make sure that we can undo what's happened in the last 4 years.
Okay, the fifth question, and Mr. Griffin will be the first respondent. You all are candidates, chose to be a candidate in the Republican Party primary. Do you agree with the tenets and principles of the Texas Republican Party platform?
Yes, I do. If I wouldn't have filed as a Republican. Pretty much been a Republican my whole life, and I just believe in everything they do.
Mr. Gentry?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Yes, sir. Since you're a candidate in the Republican Party primary, do you agree with the tenets and principles of the Texas Republican Party platform?
Yes, I do. And as a Republican, as a conservative, we put God first. I think everybody that is here wants to abolish abortion that is a Republican. It's got its issues, it's got some things in there that it's had its struggles with the last few years, but overall, as a Republican, I stand proud to represent Eastland County.
Well, as every platform goes, there's always some disagreement in it, but 99% of the platform of the Republican Party I agree with. There's every once in a while there's some that come up that to me seems like it's way out there in left field and everything where nobody can see it or whatever, you know. But 99% of the platform I agree with and support it too.
I do agree, and I support the Republican platform. And I believe in it, and I believe in this country, and I believe in this state, and I believe in Eastland County. We have a lot to be thankful for, and I think being a predominantly conservative Republican city and county, that we are very blessed.
I do agree with the Republican platform myself. I don't know if you've read it. I have. It is very informative to the public, for the people that are not in the loop, as they call it. It will show you the correct beliefs. It will show you what is the correct thing to stand for this United States. I mean, it does want to abolish abortion. It wants to make this world a better place, and the Republicans are on the right track doing that.
I might remind you, gentlemen, that there's provision in our rules that if you can have a 1 minute additional comment on any of the questions after we've gone through the regular questioning. You can just raise your hand. You can have an extra minute if there's something you what you had said earlier? Okay, we're to number 6. We'll be back to Mr. Gentry for our first response. Do you think the county is doing enough to maintain roads and bridges? Why or why not?
No, I don't think the county's doing enough to maintain the roads and bridges, or they wouldn't be in the shape that they're in. As an outsider, not being there every day, I think the 5 of us up here are trying to figure out what's going on with the roads, why our roads are in such bad shape. I know it takes a lot of money today to go to buy rock. It takes a lot of employees. It takes a lot to get out and clean the ditches where we don't have flooding issues, water standing in the roads. So we've got to come together and get this thing to where we've got good roads so that we can bring in good people that this county can prosper, especially this precinct. There's roads to our east that there hasn't been a blade on them in no telling how long. And those people pay their taxes just like the rest of us.
Well, as everybody says, knows that they've been on county roads now, and they're rut boarded, they're washed out, they have potholes. You know, the first thing we're going to have to do is check and see why the rut boards are there. You know, whether it's either operating the blade at a too high, fast speed, or the equipment wore out and need to be replaced on the parts to keep the blade from bouncing all the time going down the county roads and everything. You know, that has a lot to do with on your rut boards and stuff like that, or your blade gets to bouncing up and down and everything. That's either the knuckle joints on the blade that controls the blade or wore out, or the operation of it is in a too fast a speed to keep it all smoothed out and everything. You know, 2 or 3 things can happen to make all these rut boards. So the equipment, you need to start and look at it first to find out if the equipment is adequate to do what the job you need to do. Then go back to your operator, you know, see what is going on with him and everything. You know, it's going to take a lot more than, because most of these roads didn't get this way overnight. It's going to take a little while to get them all done. Need to clean the bar ditches out so you'll have some material to put back on the roads, you know, to try to build them up and smooth them out a little bit to keep the water off the roads is the main thing that you're going to have to do to keep from tearing the roads up, you know, because if you have potholes in it, they're going to fill up with water, and every time you hit one, it's going to splash dirt or whatever out. Usually when you grade your roads, you'll lose anywhere, people say they don't believe me, but you'll lose anywhere from 15 to 25% of your road every time you grade it and everything by loosening up the base or whatever, you know, and then the wind comes along or traffic and everything blows it off away from the road and everything, you know. So that's one thing that needs to be addressed and everything there too.
Okay. Now we're in my neck of the woods. The last 2 years, we have been meticulously doing just exactly what Wendell just said. We've been cutting ditches. We've been crowning the road. We have been also cutting brush out away from the road. We have, and it was mentioned about the road to the far east of us, Tudor Road, which if you haven't ever gone down that road, you need to take a trip sometime. But we actually got it completely bladed, got ditches pulled where we could, where it wasn't so rocky that you can't pull a ditch with a blade. Also, we're working with FEMA. FEMA will be our salvation in one sense of the word, because if we didn't have FEMA right now, your tax dollars would be about 2 to 3 times higher. Your taxes would be because of FEMA. The money that we're working with is already is money that FEMA has put forth to us. I agree there's a lot of work that needs to be done. I think we've started a pretty good effort to get things done right, to make sure that the roads stay pretty good. You need to drive out on them. If you don't believe it, don't just think that that we're up here and we don't want you to go look. Go take a look at the roads. And if you got any questions about how we're doing this, if you've got any thoughts or ideas or suggestions that we could do things better, then by all means, let's talk about it. I've been in Precinct 2, worked in Precinct 2. This is my 6th year. I've worked hand in hand with FEMA when they were here. I'm still doing all the FEMA paperwork, as well as driving a truck, hauling material, doing whatever else needs to be done. The roads in this county are the biggest infrastructure that this county has. We have to take care of them, and I agree. We had 2 floods, and we can blame it on that for 100 years, but they did a lot of damage to our roads. So, we're doing the best we can, and I think that if you'll just get out, drive out on County Road 575. We just finished up with it. Right off 2214, take a little trip down through there. We call that Sheriff's Road. Some of you know why it's called Sheriff's Road. Because there used to be several sheriffs that lived on that road. But if you want to take a look at it, just take some time and go do that.
I'm not going to speak for all 4 precincts because I'm sure the other 3 are doing the best job that they can as well. This precinct, I have drove down almost every county road in this precinct. They are very neglected. You will knock your mirrors off on some trees that stick out. You will have to go around tree stumps that are still falling in the ditches 3 years ago that have not been removed. I have physically seen them. I have physically seen the UPS truck get stuck in the middle of a dirt road because the potholes are so big. There's a lot of neglect in this county, and there's going to have to be a plan in place. There's going to have to be some type of something to get this under control. There's no other way to do it. You can't just willy-nilly it and just fly by the seat of your pants. In any business, you're going to have a plan in place and abide by that plan. And there's going to be disasters that come through, and you're going to have to adjust that plan. And you're going to have to adjust that plan to the best of your ability to make it the best that you can.
As Martin said, this is kind of our neck of the woods now. If I'm elected county commissioner, the roads are going to be maintained a lot different than what they are now. There will be ditches pulled. There will be crown in the road. As far as the rub boards, dry weather. Dry weather causes rub boards. A lot of them. We're dealing with it all over the county. You've got to, it's the ones that I've been down, there's plenty of material there if it's just pulled back up on the road and put on the road. As far as your pavements or your chip seal roads, those, you can't just go in and chip seal them and forget about them. You've got to maintain them too. You need to fog seal. they get cracks, water gets down those cracks, and when they just come apart. So you've got to maintain them also. FEMA has, it's like Martin said, if it wasn't for FEMA, we would really, really be in bad shape. We're working on FEMA work from back in 2016 still that we hadn't got completed. So it's a good thing to have because rock ain't cheap and it needs a lot of it around. So, thank you.
Okay, next question. First respondent will be Mr. Tipton. Do you think the county government is doing enough to support and maintain law enforcement and fire protection in the county? And do you have any ideas for improvement?
Repeat that.
Do you think the county government is doing enough to maintain law enforcement and fire protection in the county? And do you have any ideas to improve it?
Well, it's what we've got. We've got a pretty good crew of deputies that's working here. We've got some stats on that and everything, you know, to figure out where they're at, you know. Like on, we serve civil papers, arrest warrants, and all. Between January of 2017 and December 31st, 2017, as far as the civil process papers, there was 1,247 that was sent out and that we had to serve everything. We had roughly 443 warrants that we served in Eastland County here, you know. As far as booking into the jail, we had 918 males, and then we had 328 females that we booked into the county jail, everything, you know. Any given time of the year, we had, let's see, on the jail population, like in January, we had an average of, for January, 64 inmates. February was 63, March was 70, and April 74, May we had 78, then June we had nearly 79, July we had 85, August we had 79, then September we had 80, October we had 72, in November we had 64, and this December we had about 56. So right there, showing that we've got a lot of inmates, a lot of arrests made and everything. That on average, you know, is what we're trying to keep the jail down, population down, and everything else, you know. Most of the time, it comes out of the county budget. It doesn't come out of the state, doesn't assist with it, and they put all these mandates on top of us to do different stuff with jails and everything. As far as the law enforcement, yes, I served warrants from October 16 to...
Time's up. Do you think the county is doing enough to maintain and sustain law enforcement and fire protection in the county?
Yeah, I think they're doing a really good job. We've had a couple of small fires in Ranger. We live southeast of Ranger, and the fire department there in Ranger does a great job. They stuck with that one fire at the airport all night long to keep the hot spots out. I know Eastland is going to be the same way. These men are dedicated to the work that they do, and I'm proud that we have them because it's not something that everybody can do.
With the budget we have at hand, I think they're funded to the best of the ability that we can do as of now. I fully think we need to fund law enforcement. They need to be fully funded so they can adequately do their job to make Eastland County safer, cleaner, and a better place to raise our children. They've talked about it earlier. We want to keep our kids here. I want to raise my kids here. You guys want to raise your grandkids here. They fully need to be funded. The fire department and the ambulances are 90% of the time, they're the first ones on the scene when there's an accident. They needs to be subsidized. They use their rubber gloves. They use their products on those fire trucks. They use water. They use material. There's no reason that they shouldn't be funded as well. And 90% of our firemen around here are volunteers. They do it for free for you. They do it for free for us. And I think there needs to be fully, adequately funded programs for them.
I believe the Sheriff's Department is funded like the best we can do. We got to have the law. If we didn't have it, it'd be back in the Old West again. And I know that I was told that I think the average deal at the jail inmate population is anywhere from 40 to 50 a month, and it costs $35 per person per day to run that. It's like they said, the county, I think, is doing all they can do. As far as the fire departments, we have, I think there's 3 paid fire departments in the county, and we have several volunteer fire departments. Like I said, I live in Desdemona. I'm on the fire department there. If we have a medical emergency, it's at least 20 minutes for the ambulance to get there. But there's, we gotta support our first responders to help. I mean, and it's like you said, it is volunteer. We wouldn't do it if we didn't love it. So, but like they said, I think we're doing the best we can with what we have to work with. Thank you.
As far as law enforcement goes, we're doing a pretty good job, I feel, in Eastland County. Sheriff Bradford always has to work off a shoestring with 5 knots in it because we don't have enough money for him to do the things he needs to do to buy the men the protection they need. We've got to make sure first and foremost that our men are safe. We got one man out here touring around at night, no backup, no nothing to help him. If he gets off somewhere, he's by himself. We can do better than that. He's got to have everything that it takes to make that sheriff department work. And I keep going back to the part about if we clean up Precinct 2, we'll have less and less of that. And yeah, as we grow ourselves out of this and we start to see things turning around, we'll have less people in jail, we'll have less dollars being spent. But as the stuff comes down from the state and the requirements and all that, it just gets worse and worse. As the fire departments go, I think most of our volunteer fire departments are underfunded. You get out here like it is right now, today's one of the lowest humidity days we've had in a long time. We've had just a dab of moisture in the last 10 days. We're a hot box. Anything goes off at another county and starts, it's coming right through here. The wind's blowing hard. These men with these volunteer fire departments have got to have what it takes because they're out here serving and protecting us in more ways than one. A fire gets going, they've got to save structures, they've got to have everything that they need, and they can't go looking for it. It's got to be right there in their building when they get ready to go. Thank you.
Okay, next question, we'll begin with Mr. Golke. There's been considerable talk around the county about the large growth of property tax appraisals.